All right, let's get into our next discussion now. The journey to Aso Rock this time seemed like one that will be filled with rocks and obstacles, let me say.
And maybe banana peels.
Okay, that's a
Only
twist.
one person, only that person who can garner enough votes from the electorate will occupy the edifice and get Nigeria's top job. But is there a vacancy in Aso Rock?
All right, that's also the big question. Will the incumbent president retain his seat or will another person take over? These are the issues on the front burner of every Nigerian, whether back home or anywhere in the world,
Yes.
looking at 2019. How is it going to play out? What will happen? How will Nigerians vote? What are the issues? We have in the studio the Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress Lagos State Chapter, Joe Igbokwe, joining us right here. Joe, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks.
Nice to see you
Thanks
every
for
time.
having me.
You're welcome. All right, and we also have joining us from our Abuja studio the spokesman of the Atiku campaign organization, Segun Shoumi. Segun, good morning.
Good morning, Ngozi and Mike. Good
Yeah, and
morning,
you're already
Joe.
smiling
Good morning,
already. It's a
Nigeria.
sign of good things to come. Okay.
All right, let's begin. Let's begin in the studio with
Yes.
Joe. 2019 seemed, in as much as everyone has said that, okay, the integrity of the president is certainly not in question. He has the clout, he has the incumbency, he has a lot. But in the minds of Nigerians still, it looks like 2019 is still very unpredictable as to who will win the election. Unlike years back where you already know how it's going to turn out.
Well, I don't think, let me tell you, there's no vacancy.
Joe.
I want to be blunt. I want to be blunt this morning. There's no vacancy because we have left for the promised land and we cannot go back. We cannot. Integrity is everything. Honor. Trust.
But Nigerians will say that integrity has not put enough food on their
I
tables.
am a Nigerian. Maybe they're not seeing what we are seeing. They're not seeing what we are
But
seeing.
isn't that in your place to make them see what you're not seeing?
That is what we're explaining. Don't forget the past. Don't forget. When the Israelites left Egypt, it was not a smooth road. At a time, they wanted to go back. They were blaming Moses. Why did you bring us to this
but I want some volume.
place to die so that these people would take our wives and children? It was a tortuous journey. Pains and tears. We came out of 16 years of massive looting, massive decimation of the national till. And it won't take you just 2 days to fix it. Or 1 year to fix it. A lot went down the drain. And that is what people must not
Yes,
forget.
I do understand that. And I'm going to allow you to make that point. Since you allude to the Israelite journey, the Israelites knew where they were going to. They knew they were going to the promised land, a land filled with milk and honey. Right? Are you able to say that this, right now, in this case, Nigerians actually know where they're going with this present administration?
Of course. It's just that some of them who are used to the things of the past, easy money, taking what they don't even need. They can't adjust, especially when you have done this thing for 15, 16 years or, you think it's a way of life. Old habits die hard. So when you are used to easy money, you can do anything. We saw what played out in Port Harcourt. It was an audacious and thunderous, attempt to fight back corruption, fighting back, terribly back. That's what we saw in Port Harcourt.
Yeah, but the convention was said to be or seen as very free, fair, and open.
Did you see the papers? Did you see the papers?
Well,
Did you see money, dollars? Where did all the money come from? Where did all the money come from? In fact, when we get to the bridge, these things will begin to come.
all right.
They have made a a fatal mistake.
Let's bring Segun Showumi then. He's the spokesman of the Atiku campaign organization. Segun Showumi, Joy Bokwe believes there is no vacancy in Aso Rock right now, and there seems to be, just like the Israelites, a desire to go back to the past. Is that what this is all about, or what's your reading of it? How would you respond to this matters?
Joy Bokwe believes a lot of things that are false, and he likes to build his narrative on some very narrow pedestrian arguments around unsubstantiated issues, either of corruption or even integrity, or even the processes that led to the emergence of the candidate Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate. I've always convinced myself that whatever the issue is, and when the conversation comes, we should lift it up a little bit, because as opinion molders and people who engage narrative, we have a duty to demonstrate to the world and to Nigerians that this country is made up of men of quality who can hold their own everywhere in the world. Fact of the matter is that the Aso Rock is already vacant. Aso Rock has been vacant from the minute the APC presidency got there. What do I mean by Aso Rock has been vacant? There's not a few Nigerians who remember that it took them forever to start a government. There are not a few Nigerians who remember that at some point in time their former secretary to the government even asked, who is the presidency? There are not a few Nigerians who wonder whether they voted the president to run a united government, or a president who cannot even do the adjustment of mathematics from 97 plus 5%, whatever that meant. There's not a few Nigerians who have forgotten that this presidency made life extremely difficult for judges and started a Gestapo commando style. There are not a few Nigerians who see that they got a majority in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, and they wasted it all because of mismanagement of relationship between people. There are not a few Nigerians who recognize and remember that the hope and change mantra that they brought has completely dashed, and the people are feeling the pain. There are not a few Nigerians that know that, forget that, they ran a parochial government and they've been running one since.
Yeah, but according to Joy Bokwe, if I may come in, Segun Showumi, not to cut you, according to Joy Bokwe, yes, you know, just like the Israelites, let me still go back to that. In the course of the journey, they got to a point because it was painful. According to Joe, there's no easy money anymore and all of that, and they just wanted to turn back, forgetting that there's something more promising that lay ahead.
Yeah, for you to be able to show promise, people will tell you that from the beginning of the journey, you can have an idea of how the end will be. For there is an Alpha et Omega in the affairs of men who will come and tell you that there's a vision you're running, and on the basis of your own vision and what you have promised, people can begin to make informed guesses as to what your destination will be. In all material particulars, the government of APC and Muhammadu Buhari have failed Nigerians. They've even failed their party men. They have converted what would have been ordinarily a promising democratic institution, ordinarily called APC, into a mishmash of chaos where they are not even able to organize simple primaries among themselves. Their processes have become extremely difficult to understand. The process they run are very opaque and quite intransparent even to their own governors. Look, my brothers and sisters, there's no question as to vacancy or no vacancy in Aso Rock. What we know is that in democracy, especially term democracy, every 4 years, as the case in Nigeria, Nigerians will interrogate the issues again. They'll look at the candidate afresh. They'll check out what the parties have been doing with themselves. They'll try and see what and who is speaking the message of now, and then they'll take a decision. And the message of now is very clear. It's about who's going to be able to create jobs for Nigeria, who has the capacity and the record to create jobs. Because under the Buhari-led administration, we've lost close to 12 million jobs, if not more. Who is able to open up the economy? Because the capital flight in the country now has become extremely much. People are not investing anymore. The stock exchange has never witnessed the kind of removal of money from everybody that ever either to did business in Nigeria. Nigeria has never had a situation where the growth is so slow. When they are not in a recession, they're probably doing growth at about 1%, which is occasioned by hydrocarbon. Nigeria is very divided, and Nigeria is looking for a person that can unite the country and make us Nigerians back again and become a nation. Nigeria is not doing well in security. The entire land is just a potential battlefield. of killings and maiming. Therefore, we think that in a few years' time or in a few months' time, the occupants of Aso Rock will have to pack their load and go, and new people will have to take over the reign, and I believe Atiku will beat them in the election.
All right, Shegun, we'll come back. We'll come back to you, Joe.
You know, very important thing is on the table.
Yeah.
Trust. We cannot trust Atiku with the keys of our national treasure.
Why not?
Given his background, if there is anybody that knows Atiku very well in this country, you talk about former President Olusegun Obasanjo. I watched the video before coming to this place. He said Americans came, FBI in particular, and requested, when he was the president, to investigate certain individuals. He said Atiku was one of them. He repeated 2 times, Atiku was one of them. And they came out with a damning report. A damning report of the personality being neck deep into corruption.
Yeah,
Let me come before you say what you want to say.
Okay.
You see, people will follow you because you can be trusted. Trust is important. Integrity is important. People will follow you because you care. People will follow you because you know where you are going. People will follow you because you are dependable.
All right.
People will follow you
yes.
because you stand for something.
Yes.
Hit
now,
me.
if we have all of those cases against Atiku, like you put it, making reference to former President Olusegun Obasanjo, how come no court? No, he has not been taken to court. No court has, has declared him guilty or passed any verdict on him concerning all the damning report that has been put forward.
I was with Shegu in a program like this, and I asked him, I said, can your candidate travel to America? You may hide all the things here. Nigerians are good at hiding things. President said there are about 5 people in this country that are richer than Dangote, yet they don't have one single factory. They feed on federal government. Remember that when Obasanjo was the president, he gave Atiku Beru for public enterprises to manage. He converted almost all those things to himself and concurrence.
But Atiku was
and
said
that
to
was
be
why Obasanjo by second time Obasanjo grounded him. Obasanjo grounded him. You know, we need to go back to history.
Yeah, but
those who destroyed our yesterday must not be the ones that will control tomorrow's potentials.
All of those are still your word against my word in regarding the former president and vice president.
Within the realms
he
of
hasn't been taken to court. There are all the cases have not been taken to any court to say, okay, this damning report against you, I don't like what you have done, and so we sue you to court.
These things will come to the fore.
All right.
When the push come to shove.
Let's let's say, I mean, we have Shegun Shomi. He's a spokesman of the Atiku campaign organization, and I just stress that again because you would be in a position, Shegun, to actually clarify on these issues about, number one, your principal not being able to travel to the United States. Maybe you want to even clarify that so that Nigerians can have a true picture of that, because I believe that in emerging, first off, even before as a nominee or as a candidate, you go through screening. Do you think the PDP would have, given him the chance to stand even as a candidate if that issue, that question, really still, hangs over him?
Well, let me plead again with Nigerians and with Joe that this country is a sovereign nation. We are, by the grace of God, the most populous black nation on earth. And within the relationship between races, we have every reason to think that we will represent a larger number of those that are black. The sovereignty of a nation can never, ever be jettisoned or surrendered to the judgmental opinions of other nations. That His Excellency Atiku Abubakar has not visited America for some time now is purely an administrative issue around the visas of that country. And before you drag me away from what is easy and what is right and what is focus-driven, I want to remind them that the present Prime Minister of India hitherto too had some of those challenges. For some reason or the other, the administrative position did not give him a visa to go to America. But when he became the prime minister of his country and sovereignty of his nation was respected, because that nation in India was not asking his people to make judgmental calls because of visa rules of his people, he got invited to America. I can tell you for free, the United States of America has no criminal proceeding or no indictment or no corruption-related issues around His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. Like you will expect in nations like that, sometimes they do investigations. When they do their investigation, they come up with some report. When they come up with a report, if there was anything damning, remember Atiku has been out of power for close to 12 years now. If there was any shred of anything damning, there are quite a couple of opportunities available both to the Americans and to the Nigerian government. For the Americans, we have an extradition treaty with them. They would have demanded his extradition. For the Nigerian, they have the courts and the instruments of criminal adjudication that they would have charged him to court. It is the height of political blackmail, bordering on libel, for people to insist that without any shred of evidence or without giving anybody an opportunity to defend himself, that you are going to hand corruption on anybody just because you know how to pronounce the word corruption. The converse of the matter is that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria now, Muhammadu Buhari, his entire life has enough to show that he's a corrupt person. There is the PTF era that is very damning. The same Obasanjo was very, very upset with the report of the PTF. There are the 28 suitcases when he was in the army many years ago. There is the wealth that is all over the place with his children. There are the things that his family members can come up with. There is no justifiable evidence that he has any other business he does apart from milling around government and probably collecting the little pension that is due him. And yet, nobody in Nigeria is calling him corrupt. And Atiku, who has businesses, Atiku, who has schools, Atiku, who is in manufacturing, Atiku, who is a farmer, Atiku, who is a businessman, Atiku, who is a consummate creator of work and labor for people and jobs, Atiku, who is every day figuring out how to increase his own resources by also increasing the value as to society. Simply because he's on the ballot and he's been trying to be president for some time, some people have decided that for whatever reason, they're going to continue to bandy this extremely annoying, mostly provocating argument that is not substantiated.
All right, maybe we should rest that matter here now then.
Don't pick their leaders this way.
Okay, let's rest it now. Let's rest it now. Let's rest that now and bring it back to Joe Ibokwe. Let's even talk about the issues so that we're not just, you know, hitting below the belt. Because really, this battle for Aso Rock, is it about Nigeria or just power for the sake of power?
Exactly. Now, Joe, let's come back to the issues now. We'd like to, at least we've laid the foundation on some of those things. 2019, Nigerians are looking forward to hearing new messages, seeing new things. In the eyes of so many Nigerians, they feel that the government has not carried out to the latter the promises he made in 2014 and 2015 when he was coming in, especially on the three stands that the president made in the area of fighting corruption. It is going on, but it's still there. The issue of security is going on, but it's still there. The issue of the economy is going on, but it's still there, as the case may be. What is the message APC is packaging for Nigerians towards 2019 now?
First, before I answer your question, I want you to get Obasanjo's tape and play it to Nigerians.
We have listened. We've watched that.
He said, somebody asked him whether he's going to support Atiku being his. He said, if from what he knows, from what is in his kitty, he goes to support Atiku, then God will not forgive him.
Yeah, he was with Zainab Badawi.
Yes, what else do you want him to say for somebody who has been who was your VP for 8 years? So that one is, let's move it. Nigeria.
But can you, in all fairness, say that Obasanjo has been able to say exactly this is what Atiku did that would not allow me to support him at any time? Is it not really just about the personal squabble between the two of them?
Obasanjo is not somebody that can say something like that and you ignore.
Okay.
He is the longest serving, somebody that has served this this Nigeria for a long time. So when he talks, you have to listen.
Oh,
now
okay,
let's
so
talk
Yeah,
about
let's move
issues
to
now.
the issues,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes. You see, people can choose to say what they want to say, but we are saying things. I'll ask you a few questions. Do you know how many times East-West Road was awarded? Do you know how many times Enugu-Port Harcourt Road was awarded? For the second Niger bridge that we've been talking about. On other projects across Nigeria that that is going on now. Do you know the investment that is going on in agriculture? Do you know the investment that is going on in infrastructure? These things will not come in one day. I'm an engineer by training. And I've always said that. If you pull down a 50 or 100-story building, it will take you 2 years to clear the mess before you even begin to work. 2 years to clear the mess before you even begin to lay the foundation again for
So
such
which
a massive
stage,
structure.
where are we now? Are we still clearing the mess?
What?
Or we're still bringing down
No.
the...
Nigeria is moving. The fight against corruption is on. The other day, 2 judges were sacked. It has never been done. Some people are in jail. APC members, they're in jail. You see, I have always said that the greatest problem facing this country is corruption. Everything we lack in this country,
But
damn
Nigerians-
everything can be traced to corruption.
Yes,
That's
Joe.
why we are talking about
Yes,
it.
Joe,
We
Nigerians-
must not forget how we got to this sorry pass.
Yes, just very recently, the former Minister of Finance had issues with certificate, and a lot of Nigerians felt that besides the pressure to resign, there are the issues of prosecution. We didn't hear the government say anything about that.
Me, personally,
Because these are things that build perception.
personally, I can't talk about issue of NYSC certificate. That's not why we're here.
I
It's
know.
not, to me, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
It's not an issue.
But it dents the government.
Mere NYSC certificate. Is it BSc? Is it MSc?
Okay.
Is it PhD?
All right.
That you can sacrifice such an erudite scholar in the finest tradition.
Yeah, but the process, the moment you do anything against the process, is criminal.
Somebody was asked to do that. We suffer these things every day. When you give somebody job to go and claim, please go and claim it somewhere, and the person went to pick a forged certificate.
Yeah, but you would think a person like that should be more discerning, not to just sit in one place and ask somebody.
No.
Maybe
These are
sort
the
out
things that we
to
do.
go ahead and
We
do it.
delegate duties. She doesn't stay in this country.
The question really is, you were saying, you raised some questions. You asked us some questions, the East-West Road and all of that. What are you able to say about those that you have just pointed out now, that really, indeed, that this government has delivered on all those areas, including economy, the fight against corruption,
infrastructure.
and of course, don't forget that within this government, right under this watch, right, you have 17 states that have not paid salaries, in spite of 1.8
by the time the former government was
bailout.
leaving, 28, they were 28.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's not because we need to even look at the governors. We want to even look at the governors. Why will you not pay? Why will you not pay? Find out.
Is it
Can't
not because,
you use
is it not because somebody is not
your
supervising
security
them?
funds to pay?
Okay.
To pay.
I wonder if you've
A
been suggesting that to
liberal
them.
deserves his pay. We're not talking about that one, but don't forget the economy that we inherited. It's important that you do that. After the Second World War, there was Marshall Plan. What happened in Nigeria was just like a war. Massive looting of everything in sight.
Okay.
They left Nigeria barren. So it's just like there's a Marshall Plan to begin to the type we had after the Second World War. The war of voted money to rebuild the devastated countries and
But
areas.
do we even have a Marshall Plan to start with?
Of course.
Really?
Don't
Oh,
you
let's-
know that we
let's-
have people in this government? APC is not PDP.
All right.
We
Joe-
have
Joe.
smart people in this government.
Yes, Joe, we'll come back to this. Let me bring Shegun me back in here. Now, Shegun, the point there is, at different times, you have been on the program and you have made reference to the fact that, well, your party, PDP, had made mistakes in the past and then you have learned from it and you want to relaunch. Like the same question I asked Joe, what is the message that PDP will be packaging for Nigerians that will make Nigerians begin to look the way of PDP away from APC now?
Nigerians will have to ask themselves a few tough questions. The first is, Are we going to have a young population and have an unemployment rate that is as large as this without figuring out a way to stem unemployment and create jobs and not run the risk that our nation will implode? My answer is that we need to create jobs. Atiku will create jobs because unlike Buhari, he has created job in private sector, he's created job in public sector. We are now so divided that we don't even know who is 5%, who is 95%. Atiku is a pan-Nigerian who believes in consensus building and bringing everybody around to the table. Atiku will unite the country. Nigeria needs unity. We have now become the most miserably poor nation on earth, poorer in the real sense of abject poverty than a country like India that has a population larger than ours. You need somebody who can open up the economy, who has done it before, who can infuse new energy into the country, who can convert the whole place into an investment hub, who can make sure that construction and manufacturing and private sector handshake with public sector is going on well. Atiku will do that. Nigeria is literally a killing field with everyday mass burial. You need somebody who understands the working of the borders so that our 4,000 kilometers borders can be reworked in such a way that it can give us stability both on the inside and on the outside. Nigerians are interested in discussing restructuring from the point of view of how do they unleash the energies of the constituent members of the country, the state, in such a way that we can begin to leapfrog into the fourth industrial revolution. Atiku is very heavy on restructuring. Listen to Joe. In 1999, my dear friend, Nigeria and PDP, under Atiku and Obasanjo, inherited a pariah state. We were not selling oil at any money that was significant. The entire economy was in a depression. The whole political atmosphere was depressing. We had become a nation that was not even declassified to be able to do financial transactions on credit. In less than a year, we solved all of this problem. In less than 2 years, we had started growing at about 6%. And we retained the growth up till about 7% until, obviously, some of the challenges of the international world market came in and it affected us. The fact of the matter is that when you know what you are going to do in government, 4 years is a long time. All these stories about Israelites running up and down the bush and not making progress is not consistent with what we find in the Bible. In the Bible, the Israelites were confronting issues, they were defeating the issues, and they were making progress.
Yes,
the difference with the APC-led government
we get your point.
Shagun, show me. Anything. Nigerians are poorer. People are miserable.
Yeah.
People are very sad. Nigerians are divided. We need to get our country working again.
Let me come in, bringing it back to you, Shagun Shomi. What Joy Bokwe is saying here is the PDP had 16 years of, governing this country, midwifing the affairs of this nation. But they bungled it more or less because he is saying that the foundation was laid for the rot that this, administration had to clear. So much work for this administration to do in clearing the rot and then begin to build and lay a foundation. I wonder what you have to say about that.
Joe is eating sour grapes. Joe is eating sour grapes. The foundation of the nation for its democracy was built very strong. That's why Joe's party, the APC, was able to win an election and be given power. Joe is eating sour grapes. In almost every sector of the economy, we liberalize it. This platform we're using today was created because of our privatization drive. You have more schools in Nigeria. You have more universities in Nigeria. You have more newspaper houses in Nigeria. You have more private sector running economy. You have more policies that work. EFCC was our creation. ICPC was our creation. Procurement Act was our own effort at making sure that we can stem corruption. We were a government that allowed each aspect of the government of the country to run. We funded the government. We made sure that we followed fiscal discipline in giving whatever was due to the state to them, whatever was due to the local government to them.
Okay,
and if they chose by their powers that they wanted to have some of their monies, instead of saving it in the future fund, you cannot expect a government that understands that that's how democracy works.
All right, Shagun.
Listen to what the law says.
Yeah, Shagun, we'll come to you. We'll come back to you on this. Joe, let me come back to you. You see, a lot of people have made comments. In fact, we've heard some people say, okay, point to any project that this government has started and finished. some people have, I know you would have heard that. You would have heard that. I know you've heard a lot. But if this government, like you say, are doing all of this, the Second Niger Bridge, East-West Road, Enugu-Port Harcourt Road, and all of those, is the government failing in the area of communication for Nigerians to really bond and understand these things?
You see, people choose to hear what they want to hear.
Okay.
There are people who have made up their mind that, oh, because you have taken feeding bottles away from me, therefore everything you are doing, we pretend as if we are not seeing it. And that's what is playing out. Look at this party. They came apologizing to Nigerians. Oh, we have made mistakes. Please, trust us back. Give us power back, and we know what to do. Look at what they displayed in Port Harcourt. So audacious, thunderous display of inanities. Where did all the money come from? Where did all the money come from? You see, you cannot expect. I want to finish.
My producer actually wants to hear what Segun has to say in response to that about the should I borrow your word? Inanities? Thunderous inanities.
Display of I don't know how to describe it.
Segun.
So audacious. Not even using our currency, but dollars. Dollars. All newspapers reported it. Punch. $10,000, $5,000.
How true is that?
It was bizarre.
Segun.
They claimed they went to do in the face of poverty. They said that there's poverty. Okay. In the face of poverty, they went there to display.
You are the judge
stolen money.
Of the combination
stolen money
and the comparison of two processes. The APC claimed it has done its primaries, and you Nigerians are the judge of the cacophony of manipulation of figures and cooking the books to come up with some imaginary 14 million, even more than their candidate got in 2015, as though all Nigerian voters are now members of their party. Nigerians, you are the judge of how they have run from state to state. In Ogun State, now only God knows who their governor is. In Lagos State, they have taken one of their best material, they have embarrassed him underneath a blazing display of mismanaged process. And you will compare whatever it is you are doing to that spectacle that the whole world saw. Look, Nigerians are not fooled by you. If you say you saw anybody pay money to anybody, you would need to produce the evidence that people are cooking the books, that people are making spurious allegations, that people are marveling at how we were able to pull it through, that people are marveling at how we could get such quality material as presidential candidate. That people are able to watch it.
Segun, let's have Joe respond to that.
Okay.
Do you have evidence?
Yeah. Segun, let's put you on hold.
Let me explain let me explain because they didn't understand what we did.
Very transparent.
Our primaries. We had only one candidate. And what we did was direct primaries.
No
cost.
Before the issue of the single candidacy, like a bank that is a one-customer bank, I'm talking about the issue of evidence as to the exchange of dollars and pounds and all kinds of currencies.
Okay.
In this,
do you think they will come to Oyinbo Market to come and be giving you the money?
But when we raise
journalists were there.
When we raise such issues,
did you see Punch?
We need to have
Did you
evidence.
see Punch? Did you see Punch among all the newspapers? Punch, put it on the headline. These are solid newspapers.
If any paper came out today and said Joe Ibokwe steals $16 billion, should we just take it as the gospel?
My dear, we don't do these things in Oyinbo Market openly, or to come here and put bags of money and be displayed. We are Nigerians. We say things.
All right.
Journalists who came back.
Segun also made reference to the APC primary election, where he said there was the issue of 14 million votes.
Let me tell you.
That how many people were present at the convention?
Let me tell you. They can't, because you don't understand the process.
Okay.
You begin to imagine things. There was direct primary that cost us nothing. All you needed to do is to go to your ward and line up. And we line up in 245 wards in 20 local governments in Lagos, and we are counted. Unanimous decision. We counted. And these things were collated across Nigeria. It took them time. to collate. And after that, we went to Abuja because you have to go to a convention to ratify. 7,000 delegates went to Abuja to ratify that process. You could see the result from state coming. APC is made up of smart people, very intelligent Nigerians. When you see a government in place, look at the individuals. Look at Fashola, look at Fayemi, the world-class scholars in the finance tradition that's running this government.
Yeah,
they know what they are doing. Fashola is an infrastructure man, and he's delivering. In all corners, silent delivery. They make no noise about it. We have men in APC, first-class men. And that's what they lack.
Shagun just included an Ambode, for example, in
that's
the
part
list,
of it. That's part of it.
But in all of those, Nigerians are still saying, despite all of these intellectual
you have to separate those who are suffering because feeding bottles were taken away from whatever you are doing, they will not listen to you.
But how come
the Israelites saw the progress Moses was making, and yet they didn't believe it. Because of that, all the people that left Egypt died on their way.
All right, but Joe, do you dispute the record that Nigeria now is the headquarters of poor people in the world?
Poor people, we have to get up and go. We have to work. People think this thing started today. It started in the 80s. We have not been able to build this country. We lack infrastructure, and this thing takes years to build. I went to Dubai in 2008, and I returned in 2012, 4 years after, and I saw humongous progress in the areas of infrastructure. That's what drives people to your country. You don't have it. You don't have roads. You don't have rail system. You don't have a national carrier. You don't have anything. I was posted to Apapa in 2015. In 2015, where they cutted billions, trillion in 16 years. They couldn't fix Tinkana Island Road. They couldn't fix Apapa
and the
Road.
situation remains the same.
No.
3 years after
Apapa Road is almost. You're talking about 3 years. Okay, you're talking about 3 years. Are you talking about 16 years? You're not talking about 16 years.
Well, fair
but
deal.
Apapa Wharf Road is almost complete as I speak to
President
you. Now
Buhari,
they will face
President
Tinkana Island
Buhari
because you cannot ground the two at a time. This is a place they were for 16 years. Okay. And they couldn't build.
That's a well-taken point.
Joe,
President Buhari says, I will be re-elected because of my track record since 2015.
Of course.
Let me take it to Segun Shoumi.
You should have taken it to me.
This is a question that I should have taken to you.
You should have taken it to me.
I'll still bring it back to you. I'll still bring it back to you, definitely. But Segun, really, in all fairness, would you say that the PDP deserves a second chance with Nigerians? What would it take really to, for Nigerians to buy in again? It's a question that's been asked earlier, but I want you to, underscore for us exactly what the PDP even has to offer and why Nigerians should not be looking elsewhere beyond APC and even the PDP. There's the SDP. You have a Donald Duke who has emerged as the presidential candidate, and Obieze Kwesili has emerged in another party. You have the Showarez, the younger people, the only Sabakobas, who have emerged. Shouldn't Nigerians really be looking beyond the two horses, if I could put it that way?
Well, I'll say that Nigerians must understand that democracy itself is a journey. And it's a journey that we have all signed up to, that we're going to have multi-party participatory democracy. And therefore, it takes time to build the necessary traction for a party. Look how long it's taking the APC to become a national party. They kept changing their name but sticking to it, so now they have one national party. PDP has been around for a while, since 1998. They've been consistent with their name, and so all the other younger, smaller parties should continue to try at it. We'll begin to see Nigerians who look at an ideological position to be able to choose. But towards the 2019 election, why should they vote for President Muhammadu Buhari? The problem is that there's no reason for any person to really vote for him. You need to ask, are you paying more for food now than you were paying in 2015? If the answer is yes, then he doesn't have your vote because he promised he was going to crash the price. You need to ask, is the exchange rate of the dollar to the naira the same as in 2015, or is it worse? If it is worse, you shouldn't vote for him because he said he was going to crash that. You need to ask, is Nigeria more united now? Do we see ourselves as one nation? No, he's been more parochial. Because he's been more parochial, you don't need to vote for him. You need to ask, has he been able to grow the economy and make life meaningful for Nigeria? The answer is no. We are now the most miserable poor nation in the world. He's failed on that promise. You need to dump him. You need to ask.
Yeah, but the
has he
president
given a
said,
general
the
feeling
president
of,
said,
you know, leadership?
in reeling out his achievements, taking power from 4,600 megawatts to 8,000 megawatts generation capacity today. That's from 2015 when they took over power. And
the president
Boko
is totally
Haram,
wrong
Boko
on
Haram
that.
has been
The president
decimated.
is wrong on that because the president is wrong on power, because you can even see that the relationship between the discos and the gencos has become a completely embarrassing testimonial of how a nation that wants to go in private sector ought to go. Private-public sector partnership requires the dictate of a business-minded leader to be able to manage things. Obviously, they don't know how to do it, and it's getting worse. So when they ban the figure, you know they are good at cooking the books, and therefore you shouldn't take them for their words.
All right,
you should
Shegun.
ask Nigerians whether they are feeling the power.
Yeah,
if they
Shegun.
have done that much, where is the power?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that the next election will be based on issues, and we will try as much as possible to leave out the innuendos.
Exactly, Shegun. I like the way
campaign is allowed to start.
Exactly.
We will then engage them properly.
Exactly, Shegun. I like the way you talked about the issues. Now, there's one more issue I'm going to ask you here. Atiku Abubakar has talked about restructuring, which a lot of people now say that he's an emergency evangelist of restructuring. That restructuring has never really been a part of what he believed in, and that he's using that as a campaign to get to maybe some section of the country. What do you say?
May God forgive those who insist on believing their own lies. Atiku Abubakar started talking about restructuring in the 1994-1995 Constitutional Conference of General Sani Abacha. And he has stayed true to the restructuring argument ever since. When he was going for presidency in 2007, restructuring was very big on his agenda. In 2011, he penned a book. The book is still available. It gives to people, anybody who wants it. It's a very big compendium on restructuring. At the clock of the matter towards the 2015, he had hoped that because APC was talking on restructuring and Buhari was talking on restructuring, that they would do restructuring. They claim they don't even understand the meaning of restructuring. In the build-up to 2019, Atiku Abubakar has been screaming restructuring, not only saying the restructuring as an adjective, he has also been explaining some baby steps that he thinks he can take. One of them is that he has promised that the concurrent list will be transferred to the state so that we can devolve more power there. He has said he will be more interested in figuring out how we can have a multimodal policing structure that can give us the framework.
All right,
for those who want to
we don't have time. Let's allow Joy Bokwe talk about
restructuring for joke.
Yes.
Atiku is serious about restructuring because Nigerians are serious about restructuring.
Okay, Joy Bokwe, the issue of restructuring. This government over and over again has, you know, on the one hand, made it look like, yeah, we're considering the issue of restructuring. Then again, Nigerians are confused exactly where this government stands on the issue of restructuring. Where exactly does President Buhari want to, is he willing to restructure Nigeria so that the gains of democracy can become a reality?
And it's headed by Governor Rufai of Kaduna State. You see, the president said people say he's Babago slow. He said those who were fast, where did they take us to? Those who are moving on the fast rail, you know, where do they take us to? The process is on, but we need to deepen the debate. It's not restructure. What does it mean? Is it an attempt for some people to, just to make Nigeria to work?
But what is your reading of restructuring? Do we need it as a nation?
It's just to make Nigeria, in so many ways, restructure the way we think, restructure to be productive, restructure to make our environment conducive for business to thrive. These are the issues on the table. When you look deep, they will tell you, some will tell you restructuring is about going back to regions, 6 zones. And you think the governors will want to give up their states? Or some Nigerians will want to give up their states? These are things you need to look into. So all of us want restructuring. But structure means so many things to so many people. So I will leave it at that. But this government has smart people. That's what Rufai is heading the restructuring team. In the fullness of time, we'll drop it on the
There are so many smart people living the country right now. So many smart people in the medical profession, in the teaching profession. So many smart people.
All right, we have to round off.
They must move.
We have to round off.
I'm coming. Yes. They must move. Yes. Americans move.
Yeah.
British people move. They're here.
All right, Joe.
So you move.
All right, Joe.
People go to Canada. People go and acquire knowledge and come back.
All right, we
I'm
have just
not
a few
left.
minutes.
If you offer me anything, I'm not going to go anywhere.
All right,
One
we
more minute.
have
I love this
just
country.
less than 2 minutes to round off. Shegun, what would be your parting message to Nigerians now? I'm giving you less than a minute to say that.
Yes. 30 seconds, more or less.
I'll say to Nigerians, thank you. You have endured for a while. It's time now for you to keep faith. If you vote in a party and it's not giving you what you want, you have a right in a democracy to change it. Let's get Nigeria working again.
Okay. Joy Bokwe, you have the
For
floor.
16 years.
Okay, thank you.
Economy. Article means security. Article means all the good things that Nigerians need.
All right,
Atiku,
thank you.
Atiku was the vice president for 8 years. He didn't bring restructuring on the table.
What would be your parting message, Joe?
Yes.
We are building Nigeria big time. We have taken freedom bottles away from their mouth and we will never return. They will never return. You can see the gang up. They will tell you, there's no security. These are people who are ganging. They went to their states and they were killing people just to get at the president. This president is a cat with 9 lives. You cannot do anything. We must finish building this country before we return it. No, we will not return it to the locusts. We will not. We will not go back to the years of the locusts.
All right.
We will
We'll
not.
have to leave it there.
All right.
Joy Bokwe, Lagos APC Publicity Secretary. Thank you so much for joining us. And, of course, Shegun Shoumi, spokesman at Atiku Campaign Organization. Always a pleasure having both of you gentlemen
Thank you
on
so
TVC
much, gentlemen.
Breakfast.
Right. All right, just before we go, we need to let you know that the views and reaction of our resource persons on the topics discussed on the program today are their views and have no connection with TVC News. We need to let you know that. We must thank you for keeping faith with us this morning and for listening and being accompanied on the program, on the topics we discussed today as well.
Absolutely.
Have a great day ahead. I am Mike Okwache.
Ngozi Alebu, take a deep breath and ponder on all you have
On all
learned
the issues
this
brought about lately. Thank you.
All right, see you tomorrow.